What is up, W Sports Podcast listeners? Jimothy and Tubby, we are back at it again on a very special Thanksgiving week. So instead of having the multiple episodes like we've had, obviously schedules have been a little bit crazy. So we're going to have one slightly longer than normal episode just for today. And then we hope that you guys enjoy the extra time that you have with family, maybe with some food, and hopefully with some great football this upcoming weekend. So, Tubby, welcome back to the show, man.
What is up? I'm so ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, it starts quick. 11:30
Yeah,
kickoff is awesome for Thanksgiving.
yeah, I'm ready for some football and food.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Football and food. What's your favorite go-to to go with the football, food wise?
Man, you give me any kind of pie basically,
Any
except
kind
for
of
key
pie.
lime.
And what? How early is too early for
Like
pie?
as soon as I wake up, I can eat it.
I like that rule. I've always been under the impression that like 4 p.m. if you have like the 2 p.m. dinner, like 4 p.m. that's when you can do it. But no, I like the thought process of honestly, this is pie. This is basically just holiday breakfast. I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's basically like a toaster strudel without the top crust.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. That's all it is. So,
Yeah,
for those who are listening, just so everybody knows, I am actually in my car right now on a laptop with a hotspot. So we're gonna hope this connection stays great. But that's what happens when life is a little bit chaotic. But we want to still talk about sports. So here we are.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, got to make things work.
we got to make things work, absolutely. And speaking of making things work, many of y'all are making it work to subscribe to the show by hitting that button. And we are on the road to 300 subscribers. And one of y'all this month, to be announced, when Tubby won a jersey.
Probably we'll probably announce it on the next episode, which will probably be Sunday. And then we have a little interesting, new caveat for next month. We're going to drop hints every episode on who the next giveaway jersey is, and whoever guesses it right gets 3 extra entries into the giveaway. So we'll drop a hint every single episode. So the first person that drops it in the comments in one of those videos, we'll make sure we keep up to date and check them, daily to make sure we don't miss it. But whoever guesses it right gets 3 extra entries on top of your one that you already have for subscribing.
I mean, that sounds great. What a great time to, just to give a little extra, right, Tubby? That's what
Right?
the W Sports Podcast is all about. So
Absolutely.
make sure you subscribe. Make sure you download the episode, the podcast each time. And also, it doesn't hurt to hit that little bell so you don't miss the
Uh,
opportunity to guess and get those extra entries. I'm just saying. Just saying.
yeah, you might want to be quick to it because you never know. There might be a sharp out there ready to go.
I like it. Yeah, someone was ready guessing. And all right, well, we're gonna jump into it. And obviously, we didn't get to record early this week, so you're gonna notice this episode has some look forwards with some callbacks to last week's episode. So hang with us.
Mhm.
We'd love to know what you all think in the comment section as well, because we are headed into in the college football world rivalry weekend, and I was so ready to say that correctly, and I still messed it up. It's going to start with big noon kickoff. We got Michigan versus Ohio State. Ohio State is coming off of a absolute dominant win over Indiana, where they
Yeah,
suffocated them, especially in that second quarter. And they
yeah,
look like a championship caliber team. But Michigan's won this game the last 2 years,
yeah.
2 year, 3 out of 4, I think, and
Three.
three in a row.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
so that's 3 in a row. And so, do they have the magic this year to win it again?
No,
Yeah, no, they don't.
no, not this year.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing to walk into this weekend and just know that the very first kickoff game is like, I mean, it's going to be a lot of pageantry. It's going to be fun to watch, but you know that Ohio State should look very similar to Indiana, but even more dominant in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all year. Michigan just does not have the quarterback play to be able to rival, keep themselves in games
Hmm.
because we've seen it all year. They've went through 3 quarterbacks. I'm surprised they haven't went to the freshman yet and Jaden Davis because at this point, why not? But yeah, the quarterback play is not there. The defense isn't as dominant as it was last year. Still
Yeah,
really good. Offensive line has been a huge problem, replacing every single starter on that offensive line. And then they just don't have that go to weapon outside of Colson Loveland.
yeah, no, very well said, and that is what leads them to be a five. I think 5 losses right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that this. it's a rivalry game. Maybe they go through and they get everything right and they have
Yeah.
all the magic, but I'm picking Ohio State. I think you are too. I think that's what the
Yeah.
general consensus is for pretty much everybody.
Hmm.
South Carolina plays Clemson. This is honestly a playoff game outside the playoffs because South
Yeah.
Carolina, yes, they have 3 losses, but right now they're the second highest ranked 3-loss team headed into
Hmm.
this weekend in the college football playoff. I think they're at 14 or
Hmm.
13, one of the two. And then right behind Alabama, and they got Clemson, who, if Clemson loses, I don't see a path for them to make it into the playoff.
No, I don't think Clemson has a shot if they lose this game. And I don't know. I haven't checked. I don't think that. I think that really their only chance at the ACC championship game is if Miami loses. I
Mm-hmm.
think Miami wins, they're in. So
Yeah.
really, they have to win this game to keep those chances alive. But then they got to hope for Miami to somehow, I think, lose to Florida State, which don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't look promising right now. Albeit they still got a recruit. I don't know that we mentioned this. They got a flip on a recruit
They did.
quarterback wise that going to Florida State from Oklahoma, which was just a weird flip to me. But whatever. I get
Right?
it. OU's offense has been pretty bad, but I mean Florida State's been awful.
Yeah, you go from one dysfunctional offense to another.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It's very true. One of those has a win over Alabama though recently.
That's very true.
Just want to throw that out there with some Sooner magic.
Very true.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to another rivalry game. Notre Dame, USC. USC has made a switch at quarterback the last couple of weeks. It was kind of an ugly
Hmm.
win last week over UCLA.
Yeah,
But they now have Notre Dame, who has quietly become one of the more dominant teams in the second half of this college football season. Is this more of the same? I mean, are they locking in not their first round bye, but hosting a first round playoff game?
I think so. I was listening to some guy the other day on a podcast. He's like, "So we're just gonna forget that Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois and have them ranked, fourth." I'm like, boy, they've lost one game, and yeah, it was a stinker early on to Northern Illinois, but since then, this team has been one of the most dominant teams in college football. Granted, it hasn't been the most difficult schedule, but we've talked about it, a couple times over the last few months. They're going in and they are dominating everybody that they're playing. It's not like you're just barely skating by with a little win here or there. They are blowing teams out, and a couple top 25 teams in Navy and Army also thrown in there. Army at one point had the longest winning streak in college football.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not like Army's any slouch this year with the way that they've been able to play. So, I think this is a very sneaky team that a lot of people aren't given enough credit to because of the early loss in Northern Illinois.
Yeah, very true. And you know what? If you're gonna lose, it's even in the BCS era, it was
Yeah.
you better lose early because then
Hmm.
you can get things right. And they've still only had the one hiccup. Now,
Yeah.
yes, it is USC, but this is not a great USC team right now.
No.
They're really just not where they want to be, and they've really struggled with the Big Ten schedule this year. So
Hmm.
I do see Notre Dame winning this one. You got Auburn versus Alabama. Alabama, 3 losses. Um, the I don't know. So let me pause. I want to go back a little bit. I mean, maybe this is OU bias, but
Hmm.
was this Alabama not having the right game plan, or was it Oklahoma having the perfect game plan to beat Alabama at home?
Oklahoma executed the perfect game plan for Jalen Milroe. They
Mm-hmm.
bottled him up, didn't let him run. You called it last week. You said they need to spy him
The
with the
whole time.
linebacker, Danny Stutzman, someone, and not just Danny Stutzman. I mean, Kip
Mm-hmm.
Lewis is out there. Deshaun McCullough was out there. Kobe McKenzie. They have really athletic linebackers, and you nailed it right then. That's what Oklahoma did. Kept him bottled up and forced him to beat him with the arm, and he wasn't able to do that. And Oklahoma really, I think the one thing it showed last week for Oklahoma is if they had an offense, this would be a national championship contending team because that defense is so good. OU has the number one defensive efficiency in the SEC.
Yeah, it is incredible, and I don't think people give enough credit for that.
No.
In the gauntlet of a schedule that they have played this year, what's
Mm-hmm.
frustrating is you look back at some of these games, the Ole Miss game, the Mizzou game. You win those games,
Yep.
flip the. I mean, good, yeah, just it's gonna drive me
Yeah.
crazy. Um,
Absolutely.
but they've shown life where they hadn't had it before.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this. The most Sooner guy, with everything in him outside of Baker Mayfield right now is Danny Stutzman. That guy
Yeah.
it was so nice to see that win, just because he did come back for a senior year, and the whole year it's got to be like, I came back for this, and then he
Yeah.
had that moment. Now, please stop storming the field.
Yeah.
So dumb.
I mean, obviously, Oklahoma's not accustomed to it because they ran out on the field 28 seconds too early
Yeah, they're like,
and
is
cost,
this now?
cost them an extra $100,000 for rushing the field twice.
Yeah.
But like, we both were like, don't rush the field. We're a blue blood team. But then again,
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the players, and they're like, after the season we had with the turmoil that came out this week, about Venable's wife, Miss Venable's, cancer coming back. I think it was something more for them that to
Mm-hmm.
celebrate, and so I gave it a little bit more of a pass because of the circumstances going on this year, and
Yeah.
with what was going on, with the announcement this week. So I gave it a little bit more pass, but still, you're a blue blood. You don't need to
Yeah,
rush the
I get it.
field.
Yeah. And we're gonna go back to the Alabama Auburn game in just a second, but we're gonna this normally would be Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State in
Yeah.
previous years, not the most recent ones, because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just weird Big 12ness shenanigans. OU versus LSU's, that's way better, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, oh, yeah. And that's a winnable game. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Um,
It,
it's
in
it's
Death
Death
Valley
Valley.
at night. I
Oh
mean,
man,
that's
brutal.
gonna be an incredible
Yeah,
atmosphere. And
they're
Oklahoma, you said this is a very winnable game with the way LSU has played, but we're not going to get our hopes up.
yeah. I'm not getting my hopes up. Nussmeier does tend to throw some interceptions in big
Yes.
moments. It's just kind of the where he's at in his level. But I do want to throw this out there. Oklahoma has had one of the historically toughest schedules since they, like, as far as you can go back, as far as you want to go back, they have had one of the
Yeah.
hardest schedules imaginable. No, I'm just brutal.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way: Oklahoma has 6 wins this year. 2 of them against top 15
Hmm.
teams, Tulane and in Alabama.
Hmm.
Texas hasn't played a single
Oh,
SEC
jeez.
opponent with a winning record this year.
Yeah. What a joke. Ridiculous.
And another team that has, and they're not in the SEC, UMass has played
Yeah, there you go.
2 teams with winning records in the SEC. It just tells you how flip flop OU and Texas's schedules have been this year, and it will be the same again next year.
Yeah, I know. It's messed up. That just it,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't miss it. This is how Texas has felt for 20 years though. So I guess it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, not with the schedule, but just being
Yeah.
a team with
Yeah.
5 losses. It's just gross.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go back. Auburn versus Alabama. Does Auburn, who just upset A&M in 4 overtimes, A&M choked themselves out of this game.
Yeah, they did.
Can they take down Alabama?
Is this in Tuscaloosa or is this in
I'm pretty sure this
Auburn?
is in Auburn. Let me double check real quick. But what are your
I'm trying to
thoughts?
remember. I mean, if it's in Jordan, just like Nick Saban said, he said it on game day. I don't know if you saw that, where he was like, "There's ghosts in that stadium." That
You're
is
like,
a tough
okay.
place to play. And then people are like, "Oh, you kind of laughed it off," and they go in there and they take out Texas A&M. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I mean, this game you can never count out either team, no matter how bad they are, because this is one of those rivalry, the
Yeah.
Iron Bowl. It's going to be a tough
Yeah.
spot game. I think that Alabama gets the win, but I think it's going to be another really close game. If Auburn wins this, I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama's just kind of down after the sort of lacking they got last week, and more than likely ending their playoff hopes. The fact that they're 13 still, to me, is just wild. I think
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why they should be 13, but
Same.
yeah, absolutely. And so I think that they squeak out a win, but if Auburn wins this, I would not be surprised.
Yeah. It is in Alabama. I was incorrect on that. Last year was in Auburn. So, yeah, if they lose this game,
Mhm.
I would ask the question: how hot is the seat that DeBoer is coaching it? And it's only been a year, and there's so much transition. But man,
Yeah.
Alabama is not used to this at all.
Yeah, I mean those were shoes you did not want to feel.
Yeah.
You want to try to fill the shoes of probably arguably the greatest college football coach to ever coach.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be tough, especially with all the players that you lost to the draft, lost in the
100%.
transfer portal. It was tough to fill no matter what, but the fact that you lost all those guys you did, and then turn around, you brought some guys with you, but were they up to the standards of Alabama? Probably not quite the same. But yeah, I don't know if his seat will be hot this year. I know fans will cry and want him out, but we saw what happened
100%.
to Nick Saban his first year at Alabama with
Very true.
losing record. So I don't think it should be hot now, but if they start out slow next year, especially more than likely with the new quarterback, Jalen Milroe should stay one more year. But if they, if he does opt to go to the draft, they're going to be bringing in, a new quarterback or, a new starting quarterback, more than likely Ty Simpson, but could get a little hairy there for DeBoer to start the season.
Yeah, it's a lot messier of a situation I think even Alabama expected when Saban retired. You got
Yeah.
Arizona State, who stormed the field as well too early. Apparently, it was a theme this weekend versus Arizona. Who you got in this one? Two newcomers. One's been a little disappointing, and one's been very surprising this year with Arizona State.
I mean, if we're looking at this year in a whole, it should be Arizona State. They should probably win this game pretty easily with the way Arizona has played this year, which is very shocking with Noah Fafita and Terratone McMillan there. That this team is struggling as much as they are, especially in a Big 12 that's not really like a superpower, So the fact that they're struggling, I think, says a lot about what Jed Fish was able to do last year with Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Arizona State wins this, and they punched their ticket to the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, which that is the theme that I want to bring up here in just a second. If Arizona State can make it, we've already got SMU in this. Oregon is in the Big Ten championship game. There's a good chance that Texas. I'm picking Texas A&M to win this game, but we'll just go ahead and get that out of the bag. So Texas A&M would, but if Texas wins, they're in. Talk about newcomers showing up and representing in their conference championship games. How big of a deal is that? If you look at just the landscape of college football, that these new guys come in and they win out the division or the conference right away.
It's probably the perfect storm for these, commissioners going, look, we knew what we were doing bringing these teams in. We knew that they were going to come in and compete and make the conference tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it points to the actual fact is that football, for the most part this year, is a little down with, high-powered teams. There's not really, outside of Oregon, which they've struggled a couple games, there's not really a team that you look at and they're just like, they're so dominant that it's going to be tough for them to, lose any game against anyone they played. Last year, you had two or three teams where you looked at and you're like, man, they're going to be tough to beat. A couple of years ago, Georgia, we knew Georgia was going to run through that playoffs, and granted, it took a last-second field goal to beat Ohio State in the first round, but we knew that they were the most dominant team. This year, it's not as cut and dry as it normally is. So either the conference realignment made college football that much tougher, or it's just we don't have as much top-tier talent this year, team-wise, than what we're used to seeing the last few years.
Yeah, I definitely agree with exactly what you just said. And that brings me up to another point, and this will be a good off-season conversation or transfer portal opening conversation as we go into bowl season. When the transfer portal and everybody moves, everyone is doing it, right? So everyone's zigging, you got to zag, right? Like that's the whole thing. So because I think that's what's going to separate until there's a team that does it well, that creates culture and does it in the right way. Because I don't know that Clemson has done it in the right way. They've done it, but they've done it in the wrong way. That we just haven't seen it connect yet. That to me, it's not like there's no transfer policy, but I think there has to be something said about continuity and culture that's built over time. And you had the 5-star quarterback that doesn't start his first 2 years, and that's okay. Like let him grow and learn and develop and understand how the scheme works for the school. Tom Brady had an interview. It was really, really great. How he went from the 7th QB at Michigan, and then he finally gets to start, and then he drops all the way back down, and then he has to earn his way up. And he's probably the greatest quarterback of all time, but like the dude didn't come in as a 5-star and get to start right away. He had to learn the game.
Yeah, but I think the problem is with college football the way it is now, and then the fact that the NIL is now a big factor in that. No 5-star is just going to sit for years, 2 or 3 years, and then eventually get their start because they're going to go, well, I know I can go somewhere and get paid and start almost immediately there. And that's
a shame.
Yeah, that's the problem with college football. I mean, I think Arch Manning's an
Yeah, he's a weird
outlier.
guy. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be like that, and you're going to see a lot more shifting once again this offseason. We're going to see a lot more guys moving in and out from program to program.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of program, oh, sorry, did you make a pick for Texas A&M?
Yeah, no, I'm going Texas A&M also. I'm not sure about the status about with Quinn Ewers, the MRI after the game. Haven't really heard a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot more since. But from the murmurs that you're getting, not sounding great that he's going to play this game. Which, not saying Arch Manning can't do it, but man, this is a big moment. You SEC
On the road
championship.
at night.
Yeah, stakes on the line at Kyle Allen. Fighting against a rival you haven't played in how many years since they left the Big 12 on Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving weekend, like
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a lot for him to take in right off the bat. And we've already said it. I just don't think that Texas has played a schedule that's really shown if Texas is for real or not.
Well, dude, and let's be honest, Sarkisian actually, I don't think wants to win this game. He's not going to push it because if he doesn't have to go play in the SEC championship game, but he still
Yeah,
gets to make the playoff, which if they lose, I don't see a way that they are outside the top 12 going to the
no,
playoff. So honestly, for them, this is not a must-win game outside of pride. And for Texas A&M to beat Texas is everything they could ask and dream for Christmas. So like that's just the school that they are. So, but I
but
do see them winning.
let's put it this way: what happens if they lose? And after the game comes out that Quinn Ewers will not be able to return this year, do they get the Florida State treatment?
No.
I mean, because if you've already showed a precedent, if the starting quarterback isn't there, you ain't going to put him in. So are you going to turn back on that precedent from a team that went undefeated, and now
I
you're going to
yeah.
go,
I
oh, sorry.
I hear you, but I don't see a pathway just because it's Texas and it's 12, not 4 in Florida State with the fourth that
Yeah.
was decent.
Yeah, no,
That's bullshit.
I get that argument, but I think also you got to look at what they did last year, though. I mean, if I'm Florida State, I'd be even more irate. Yeah, there you got 8 more teams in there this
Yeah.
year, but you're going to put in a team with the backup quarterback, especially if they go and Arch Manning looks awful against Texas
Mm-hmm.
A&M. Can you seriously, argue if you're on that committee? Go, oh well, this team's better than Florida State last year. I mean,
Yeah.
Texas
No,
hasn't
I hear
beaten
you.
anyone.
I hear you.
I mean,
I hear you. I
that,
just
yeah, no, that's just what I'm saying. Like, I mean, who has Texas beat? I mean, at least Florida State last year beat top 10 teams, beat multiple SEC teams, and
yeah.
won their conference championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think that if you let them in, if Quinn Ewers somehow isn't able to play, I think it just shows that the system is already broken
Oh yeah.
already.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'll tell you. I
Yeah,
bet we're gonna watch it all unfold after this next week. I mean, after the conference championships, the first week of December. But it's gonna be fun.
yeah.
Give me one team you don't want to have to play right now if you're in college football.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I'm gonna say Kansas. It's clicking. Yeah, I get Notre Dame, but give me Kansas right now. They are running the ball. The only thing that's gonna stop them right now, in my mind, is themselves.
Yeah.
They're finally clicking. It's so weird.
Took them long enough.
Yeah. Weird situation before we head over to the NFL. UNC fires Mack Brown, considering letting him coach this next week's game, after he said he wants to come back in 2025, which we all thought he was just going to retire. It was obvious the team has been on the downhill the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Weird situation.
Yeah, the odd situation going on there. I mean, I think it's time for Mac to call it quits. The game's definitely passed him by. I mean, when you have two first-round quarterbacks on those teams the last 4 years, and you're just mediocre, you haven't competed in the ACC, you haven't competed for ACC championship game, and a subpar ACC, I think it just shows you that you're just not with the game anymore.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, it's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah. No. We got
Yeah.
one big game that we haven't mentioned that has playoff implications potentially. Memphis versus Tulane.
Yeah, I like you sneaking that one in there. That's good.
I think that both teams are 9-2. Tulane, if they win, keeps their playoff hopes alive, hoping that somehow Boise State can get knocked out. either this week or next week.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very interesting game against two teams that are hoping they can win and maybe somehow sneak. I don't know if Memphis has a chance to sneak in. They just aren't quite up there in the rankings. But Tulane versus Memphis, 9-2 teams. It's going to be an interesting game.
I do like that game. That's also one of the that one is Thursday, so you can watch that
Mm-hmm.
one tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to wait long to get a great matchup with high
Oh,
implications for the playoff. Now
yeah.
tomorrow is Thanksgiving. It's a great day to watch football. You got
Mm-hmm.
it's a reverse from growing up. Lions, Bears, Cowboys, Giants. You had the Lions who are incredible. The Cowboys who won last week. The they made the Commanders look like the old school Commanders, if
Yeah.
I can even say that. Yeah, it was just a weird ending of that game with the onside kick, the missed extra point. Oh, dude, just gross.
That game was wild.
Yeah, yeah. So for you looking at tomorrow's slate of games, obviously the Packers, Dolphins. These are 6 iconic franchises in the history of the
Yeah.
NFL. I would say. So you're going to have a lot of eyes on the game outside the Packers, Dolphins. Let's just make some picks. Who you got in these games?
I mean, the Lions Bears game, the Lions should win that game pretty easily with the way they've been playing right now.
It's true.
I don't know. There's not really a team I think right now that's even close to them the way that they've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cowboys win this game just because the quarterback situation. It doesn't sound like DeVito's even going to play now. You cut Daniel Jones, DeVito's not going to play. Now you go to the guy that was your backup quarterback all season. Then you jumped over him and said, no, we're going to start
money.
DeVito. But now Drew Lock's going to get his shot more than likely. Now I got the Packers. I think the Dolphins having to travel up to Lambeau. It's going to be 25 degrees kickoff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I just something about Miami doesn't like the cold weather. Them and George Pickens.
Them and George Pickens.
I'm just telling you. I do like the Lions. They should. Do you like the backfield nicknames they got?
Yeah, I love it.
Knuckles. Oh, geez, it's so perfect for them. There's just this team right now is the best team. The Giants Cowboys. That's the one that you're probably taking a nap in and wake up just in time to watch the Packers Dolphins. So I like all 3 of those picks. I do feel better about the Giants with Drew Lock and especially starting Malik Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to start real quick, I know we're not doing fantasy advice this one. Would you start Reed or Neighbors this week?
Neighbors. I'm not starting. I love Jaden Reed, but they're just something's off right now with him.
Yeah. I'm super sad about that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on. We got a couple of recaps we can talk about last week. Some shockers. Obviously, the Chiefs go down to the wire, but they do win again against the Panthers. Titans shock the Texans. Obviously, we just mentioned the Commanders and the Cowboys. And then somehow the Bears do exactly what the Bears do in a late game in a close game. There's a lot of wild games. What was it about this last weekend that really stood out?
Teams weren't able to close out games. I mean, the Cowboys, they tried to give the game to the Commanders. They tried everything they could to give the game. The Texans, there's something weird going on with the Texans right now. Yep. They're starting to get healthy, but CJ just doesn't seem like he's on his game like he was last year. He's getting hit a lot more this year than he did last year. So I don't know if it's so much the play calling. Maybe they're not getting the ball out of his hand as quick as they were last year, as they did last year, knowing that the offensive line wasn't great. Maybe there's something there, but it was just, I don't know. I mean, it was a wild week of football last week. It was fun to watch, some of those games at the end. Like you said, that Cowboys Commanders game was one of the craziest, most insane, like Indians. Like, you go for the onside kick and you're like, oh, you got it. Just lay down. And dude's like, no, I'm getting my
gone.
Yeah. And they're like looking at him like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, give my touchdown.
Get your touchdown. I know. You literally, it's like the only other outcome besides recovering the onside kick that you're like, I mean, this actually works. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's just, that was great. Well, let's go through a couple. I guess your Packers destroyed an injury-riddled 49er team that has really disappointed this year. Is it too early to put a nail in the coffin for them? Because the NFC West is Cardinals lost to the Seahawks last week. So what is this, the division? What are you going to do?
I mean, I don't think you can put the nail in yet because it's like you said, that division is still just absolutely wide open. You got 2 6-5 teams, 2 5-6 teams. So anyone can win that division right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you look at the upcoming schedule for the 49ers, you got to travel to Buffalo this week. You got to play the Bears, which, yeah, they have done Bear things the last couple of weeks, but Caleb Williams has looked a lot better with this new
Yeah.
offensive coordinator. And seems like maybe he's coming back around to the early part of Caleb Williams that we saw from like week 3 to like week 6.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's starting to get back into that groove. So that's not a cakewalk because that is a tough defense still. And then you got the Dolphins in Miami. You got a somewhat difficult schedule ahead of you, already being behind the 8 ball. So you might be able to put the nail in a little bit, but it's about halfway up.
Yeah.
Couple more final hits, and you might be able to call it quits for the
So
reigning
crazy.
NFC champions.
Yeah. Well, right now it's in the NFC. It's the North. That's what people want to see. So
Yeah.
speaking of that, we've already picked the Packers game, and we picked the Lions game, and we picked the Bears game. We're gonna go ahead and pick a couple of the games for this upcoming weekend. So as you're doing your traveling, whatever it might be, you can say like, "Oh, they were right," or "Nope, we didn't nail that one." That's fine. Chiefs play on Friday. Not a big fan of that game, but who you got this week for the Chiefs?
The Chiefs are going to win this game. They are getting some health.
Pacheco's coming back. They got a linebacker. Yep.
Yeah, and it sounds like in a week or so you're going to get Hollywood Brown back. So they're starting to get healthy at the right time. You're still winning. You get you another wide receiver out there. You get Pacheco back. Maybe that offense becomes even more dangerous. With a big deep threat. Hopkins, he's had his up and downs. There. Noah Grace came out of nowhere and trying to take over that tight end 1 position. But yeah, I mean, it's still a dangerous team, and now you give them some healthy guys back. Isaiah Pacheco be a great compliment with him and Hunt in the backfield. Hopefully, Hollywood Brown can come back. Xavier Worthy's looked really good the last couple of weeks. So reinforcements may be coming at the right time.
This is a get everything on the right page game for the Chiefs. They should win this game. 2-9 Raiders are not good. O'Connell starting again. Who I like O'Connell better than I like Minshew, but not much. I think they're both backups. But anyway, random. Who cares about 2-9 team? Steelers, Bengals. Who you got?
I got the Steelers. I don't think the Bengals.
Are you sure it's cold?
That's true. Is it going to snow? Are we going to have another blizzard?
It looks like it's no precipitation.
Then I'll take the Steelers. I just don't think the Bengals defense is good enough to win. Joe Burrow's done everything in his might. As bad as he started off the season, he has been probably the best quarterback in football since, maybe outside of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
he's been the best quarterback. He's done everything he can to win, and that defense just week after week just lets him down.
Yeah, give me the Bengals because Russell Wilson can't score touchdowns in the red zone, and I think that's the thing. That's the thing that's going to help him out. So, help the defense out anyway. So you got Chargers versus Falcons. Both teams, I think, really need this win, especially the Falcons right now. Who you got?
Yeah, I got the Chargers.
I like it on the road.
Even without J.K. Dobbins, I still. I mean, we spoke the praises of Harbaugh, what he has been able to do. Herbert looks like maybe what we think Herbert should be, and if you can get that guy some weapons in the next year or so, the team's going to be good. Yeah, and so I think they're going to win. I don't trust what the Falcons are doing this year. They're so up and down. You don't know which Falcons team you're going to get.
I agree.
And they find a way to show up and have snooze fest, every other week.
Yeah. Yeah, and this could be that week. Who you got? Vikings 9-2. I think they've corrected the ship. What it seemed like after they were fallen, versus the Cardinals who dropped it last week. Can the Cardinals right the ship?
I'm saying they do, and this might be a crazy one. I think we're going to see the good Cardinals. We're not going to see the 6-point Cardinals that we saw last week against Seattle. Right. I think we're going to see them, figure something out and find a way to win this game. I don't know why. I have a feeling that the Cardinals are going to somehow beat the Vikings this week.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the NFL was probably just absolutely loving this weekend's slate of games. You got the Chiefs Raiders, so you got rivalry. It's Friday game, so people will watch it because it's an extra day of football. You'd have Eagles Ravens as a prime game, and then a prime time game. You got 49ers Bills, only for the 49ers not to be any good right now. Can you pick those last two games? Eagles Ravens, 49ers Bills.
I'm going I'm going Eagles. I just the defense for
Let's
the Ravens.
go.
I just don't think that it's there.
Yeah.
And the way the Eagles are playing right now on offense,
Hmm.
they're hot. Especially the way Saquon is running that football. If Saquon can keep running that football and open up the pass for AJ Brown, they're going to be tough to beat, especially with that secondary for the Ravens.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo. I think they roll. Brock Purdy may play this week, but how healthy is Brock Purdy? I don't believe the hype that they're like, oh, it's just a weak thing, it's nothing serious. You're going after Daniel Jones in free agency. It's not as it's more serious than you're letting on.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good point. A lot of people may not always connect the dots on that, so I appreciate that, Tubby. Two games this week are set to have a chance of snow. So if you like that kind of football, you got your Packers, of course, against those
Yeah.
Dolphins. Dolphins love the snow. And then obviously the Bills and 49ers. So I think you're right about both of those games and just the outcome. So it's going to be a great week of football. I mean, good Lord. What better way to celebrate Thanksgiving with if you have family that you're able to just drop the laptop. The whole podcast didn't drop the laptop. If you have family, food, friends, football, I mean, you get a lot of the really great elements for a great day. So, the last element everybody needs to have a great day is just to subscribe to the podcast. That way, you don't miss any of our content. And we love it. And we appreciate every single one of you who hits that follow button, the subscribe button, wherever it is that you're consuming the podcast. Maybe this year at Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
you mention the W Sports podcast to someone else and say, hey, you really should. What, Tubby? What should they just do?
You just got to listen.
Oh man, exactly. Okay, I'm just saying. So anyway, we appreciate all of y'all. We hope y'all have an incredible Thanksgiving. Till then, we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
See ya.